Let's start off with our first story bordering on security, and the Inspector General of Police has assured the family of a couple who died under bizarre circumstances at Makro near Ebuakwa in Kumasi of the best of investigations. George Ekufu-Dampari, who spoke to the mother of the late Ernestina Jackson on phone to commiserate with the family, also assured the family of thorough investigations to get to the bottom of the matter. The assurance comes as police at Ebuakwa look into circumstances that led Samuel Jackson to keep his wife's dead body in their flat for several months. Ayemi Interior of our security desk has more.
The body of Samuel Jackson was also discovered by police in the family's bathroom, sitting on the toilet, while their two teenage children were also rescued in an unconscious state. The IGP's call comes as the Ashanti Regional Police Commander, DCOP Afo Boachi, joined by some divisional and district commanders, visited the couple's two traumatized children who remain on admission at the Ebuakwa Polyclinic. Until Wednesday, police sources said it has been difficult connecting with families of the deceased. But the family of Mrs. Jackson on Wednesday reached out to the children of the deceased following the airing of the story on Joy News. An emotionally distraught Madam Lydia Boache Benson, mother of Ernestina Jackson, explained how her daughter disowned the family.
Is that how to pay me back? I am distressed. You promised to help the family whilst I was seeing you off at the airport. Is that how you repay me? I single-handedly sponsored your trip abroad.
Frederick Opon-Boateng, an in-law of Ernestina, is familiar with happenings in the family.
Around 2013, right? So they used to come to our place at Angumaso. And then one day, the Ernestina came with Jackson to visit their parents. So when they left, the next morning, she just called and told them that henceforth nobody should consider them as part of the family. And that was all. So we lost contact with them, but we had an information that they were staying somewhere around Ebuakwa. And that was all.
From Kumasi, for Joy News, Ayemi Interior reporting.
From that sad development, let's talk voting, and the Electoral Commission is warning it will revoke the license of any political party that will not meet the criteria for its ongoing political parties audit. The Political Parties Act demanded that all parties have branches in all the regions and must be present in not less than 2/3 of the districts in each region. In a bid to enforce the law, the EC says it will not spare any political organization that violates the regulation. Dr. Bosman Asari is Deputy Chairperson of the EC.
The EC is very, very careful trying to balance. Because if you really want to apply the rule to the letter, maybe we may end up having only one or two political parties in Ghana.
The duopoly between the NDC and the NPP.
So as an institution, we are also very mindful of what the Constitution requires of us. Constitution encourages multi-party democracy, plurality in our politics. So we must be very careful in having a balance in our system. However, it doesn't also mean that parties will just be existing in names, so that when you have an IPAC, they will just come, but you go to the district or the constituency level, they are not there. So at the highest level of the commission, we are looking at all this so that we'll come up with a clear framework which will say that because these parties don't meet criterion A or the following criteria, we are going to crack the whip and maybe give them some time to put their houses in order, or if they cannot do that, then they may end up being...
But the inference I'm getting also from your point is that finance appears to be a big challenge for let me say, the lesser known political parties. Is that an admission on your side?
No, I think that, to have offices in all parts of the country, currently Ghana has 16 regions. We have the national capital, Accra is also there. Then we have almost 267 or so districts, and the constituencies are 275.
Right.
So if a smaller political party will have to rent, you are looking at over 300 locations. Almost 300 locations to rent in these places. And averagely, if they are even supposed to pay, let's say, 5,000 in rent per year for each location, that's a lot of money. Yeah.
Well, the 2020 elections saw residents of Central Kofi, Akakpo, Lolobi and Likpe voting only for presidential elections. The residents who were prevented from participating in the parliamentary elections have been in court requesting an opportunity to elect their member of parliament. However, Dr. Bosman Asari explains the aggrieved people of SAL may have to wait until the 2024 elections. Here's why.
This is an issue I think some people have been trying to blame the EC for why they did not vote for a member of parliament.
In the area.
Let's get the records clear. The Parliament of Ghana passed that district, the LI which created the district. Right. It passed somewhere on November 10th. We had the elections December 7th.
Yeah.
So the LI that created that particular district, it passed the parliament somewhere November 9th or November 10th, 2020. And they wrote to us, I think through either the Ministry of Local Government or Parliament itself, wrote to us to inform us. And when we got that letter, it was around either 13th or 14th. So when we got that letter, Parliament was even on recess. And once the LI created the SAR district, EC must now lay a new CI to create the constituency. How many days for you to lay for a CI to mature? 21 working days. Right. When Parliament is sitting, 21 days. So the time Parliament passed that district, the LI that created the district, and the time we received it, Parliament was even on. So no, anyone who blames the EC for why the people there did not vote for a member of Parliament just doesn't understand.
Let's talk hospital infrastructure now. And the Institute of Statistical, Social and Economic Research says government cannot complete the 87 hospital projects it's targeted as part of the Agenda 111 project to complete this year. Now, according to the director, Professor Peter Quartey, government must increase resources to ensure health equity in the face of ongoing fifth wave of COVID-19 in Ghana and the pending risk of monkeypox, Marburg, among others. He said this at ISA's review of the 2022 mid-year budget and economic policy in Accra.
Agenda 111, very critical. If we don't have the infrastructure, health infrastructure, etc., we'll be faced with a lot of challenges. Now, it's not just COVID. We talk about monkeypox, Marburg, and many others that are likely to come. Depleted our forest so rapidly that now we are not too far from the forest. So some of the animals and some of the viruses and whatever are getting closer to us. And there also are some of our habits. We have some weird habits that, these are all affecting us and bringing some strange diseases, viruses.
Now, in our next story, the OT Regional Health Director, Dr. Akakpo Afre, says he is worried about the low doctor-to-patient ratio in the region. According to Dr. Afre, out of the over 20 medical doctors posted to the region within the last couple of years, only 2 have reported. The region will also lose 4 of its medical doctors in the month of September as they embark on further studies. Peter Sino reports from the region's half-year health performance review.
This is the second consecutive year the OT Regional Health Director, Dr. Akakpo Afre, has bemoaned the insufficient number of doctors in the region. According to him, the dwindling numbers and the unwillingness of medical doctors and other health workers to accept posting to the region is a worrying situation. He says by September 2022, the doctor-patient ratio would increase from 1 to 24,000 to 1 to 29,000.
The OT region is vastly deprived, and that is one of the disincentives of attracting and retaining staff here. We've gotten cumulatively about 22, 23 doctors being posted to us since 2020. But unfortunately, only one person reported. I think two. Yeah, only 2 people reported. And it's a source of worry to us, a huge source of worry. So our doctor population ratio, we used to be about 1:21,000, increased to 1:24,000, and now we are doing around 1:29,000. And I'm very sad to inform you that this year, one school reopening somewhere September, October, we will lose about 4 of our doctors in a region to further studies.
The Regional Health Directorate has also declared zero maternal mortality rate for 2022 and beyond. So far for year 2022, it is the only region with zero maternal mortality rate across the country.
Pregnancy is not a disease, and we don't expect a woman who is also giving life to also lose her life. So I picked it personally with my team, and we put in measures to make sure that we bring it to the barest minimum. So we have been working with a policy of zero tolerance for maternal mortality. So consistently, we have reduced from 98 per 100,000 live births, and last year we did 53. And now we are doing 0. So I think so far in the whole country, we are the only region that has not reported any maternal death.
However, the stillbirth rate across the region is on the increase, with Krachi West and Nkwantan North leading.
Our stillbirth rate has increased marginally from 12% to 13.1%. And we've been able to zero in on where the stillbirths are coming from. Majority of the stillbirths are coming from Nkwantan North, which is a source of worry to us. They increased their stillbirth from 3.8 to about 17 or 18, which is an astronomical increase.
On COVID-19 vaccination, the region has so far been able to vaccinate only 29% of its population of 762,940 residents, according to the 2021 National Population and Housing Census figures.
We've been able to do 29% of people who are fully vaccinated in the region in terms of the populations that we've been given, and this figure is not too good. Actually, we started from about 15% for the past 2 months or 3 months, and we've been able to make some improvement, but still the improvement is not as good as it is.
Until leadership on all fronts work to make the region attractive, residents are very likely not to get the best of quality health delivery in the region. Peter Sanu for Joy News.
Expect your 15% cost of living allowance to hit the accounts by the end of this month. That's according to Deputy Minister for Employment and Labour Relations, Bright Reku Robbie. Demands for COLA resulted in weeks of labour agitation, industrial action, leaving government to commit to paying workers 15% of their salaries. The workers had argued that the worsening economic conditions had rendered their current salaries inadequate. Well, it has been confirmed COLA will be paid to all public sector workers beginning this month.
Yesterday, there was a tripartite meeting, and then the issue of COLA came up. And we spoke to the Minister of Finance. The assurance is that from the end of this month, the COLA payment will commence. So let's all take it that by end of August, public sector workers would feel COLA as part of their income.
Well, the CEO of the Fair Wages and Salaries Commission, Ben Arthur, says steps are being taken to also address payroll fraud. He spoke to Joy News on the sidelines of the signing of a memorandum of understanding with the Internal Audit Agency to check payroll fraud.
Payroll fraud remains an issue of major concern to government. In a quest to stem the tide, the Fair Wages and Salaries Commission is teaming up with the Audit Agency.
This is a huge responsibility by all standards. The signing of this MOU is significant because the only way that the Fair Wages and Salaries Commission can fulfill this mandate effectively, given the resource constraints, is to form strategic partnerships with agencies such as yours with like objectives who are committed to safeguarding the nation's scarce resources.
Above all, it calls for bravery. Are we brave enough to undertake what we said we are going to do? That, to me, that is the main challenge. If we are ready to undertake it, and if we are brave enough to go ahead with it, then we're going to achieve something. But if we step back, awaiting instructions and directions from political leaders, I can assure you it will be a very nice signing ceremony, nice reporting of whatever we have done in coming up with this, but then there will be no effect.
Another recent labor issue of concern has been the cost of living allowance. Workers remain hopeful that they will receive the monies soon.
Let's focus on the economy now. The opposition NDC is predicting gloom for the economy, citing recklessness and poor fiscal measures in mitigating the growing economic challenges. According to the NDC, the situation has been created by the Bawumia-led economic management team that has worsened the credit ratings, leading to a downgrade by sovereign rating agencies. The NDC says this has denied the country access to the capital market. National Communications Officer of the NDC, Sami Jemfi, in a media address, claimed the government had lost huge capital outflows from the economy as a result and predicted that this would further cause the cedi to depreciate and likely hit 10 cedis per the dollar by December 2022.
As a matter of fact, Ghana has been ranked number 2 on Bloomberg's latest sovereign debt vulnerability ranking published a few days ago. Of all the countries in the world, Ghana has been ranked as the second country with the highest risk of debt default. Even Somalia, Zimbabwe, Ukraine, and countries at war, countries under military rule, Syria, are all doing better relative to their debt position than Ghana. We only performed better than a country called El Salvador in Central America, with a population of about 6.8 million people who have had to deal with a recent slump after adopting Bitcoin as its official currency. So when El Salvador dianka yere kra. What an enviable feat, shot by the Bawumia-led economic management team. Indeed, the NPP have the men.
Mr. Jemfi has, however, recommended some solutions to President Akufo-Addo, including the sacking of Vice President Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia and Finance Minister Ken Ofori-Atta for leading the country into a ditch.
As a responsible opposition, and indeed a government in waiting, we in the NDC cannot sit aloof while our economy descends into the precipice. Despite the recalcitrance of this government and its sometimes antagonistic attitude to constructive criticisms and ideas, we cannot afford to allow this present state of affairs to continue to fester. It is for this reason that we call on Ghanaians to join us in demanding that the Akufo-Addo Bawumia government takes urgent steps to ameliorate our suffering and help stabilize the economy. To this end, we demand the immediate repeal of the obnoxious and the counterproductive e-levy act of 1.5% on Momo and electronic transactions. Number 2, we demand the immediate repeal of the punitive COVID-19 levy of 1% on the VAT flat rate and on NHIL. Number 3, we demand the immediate scrapping of crippling fuel taxes such as the special petroleum tax that has outlived its usefulness, the boiler tax, the new energy sector levy of 20 pesos per litre of diesel and petrol, and 18 pesos per kilogram of LPG. Number 4, we demand the immediate suspension of the 9 pesos boss margin, the price stabilization and recovery levy of 16 pesos and 14 pesos per litre of petrol and diesel respectively, both of which are not being applied for their intended purpose. Ladies and gentlemen, the last two puzzles for this government to resolve, if it is serious about bringing our economy back on track and restoring investor confidence, is to get rid, I repeat, is to get rid of the two villains who have been at the center of wreaking this havoc on our economy. First on the list is without doubt the finance minister, Ken Ofori-Atta, who has proven to be an unmitigated disaster when it comes to economic management. President Akufo-Addo's cousin has run down our economy through excessive borrowings that his personal company Data Bank profits from. Today, his name scares away investors and evokes a feeling of insecurity for every Ghanaian. Ken Ofori-Atta has become like stale water in a bottle, and the earlier President Akufo-Addo fire his underperforming cousin, the better for the economy and all of us. As the venerable former President, His Excellency John Dramani Mahama, recently said, regardless of our running to the IMF, the only way to begin the process of rebuilding, if we are to get any good deal from the IMF, is to sack Ken Ofori-Atta immediately and appoint a fresh, able hand in his stead to lead the IMF negotiations. And I'm sure you will agree with me. The next important thing for President Akufo-Addo to do is to relieve his jocular vice president, Alhaji Bawumia, from his position as head of the economic management team. The one so-called solid economic management team has now become a gaseous team who have deserted their roles and are nowhere to be found in these difficult and critical times.
Well, the news on that note is done and dusted, but stay with us. Up next, the news review.